Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive into something truly massive?
I am. Let's do it.
We're talking about the Mahakumbh Mela,
Oh, wow.
a religious gathering so large it's almost impossible to grasp.
Yeah, I've seen pictures and videos.
It's incredible. Over 400 million devotees
Right.
are expected in Prayagraj, India in 2025.
That's more than...
That's more than double the entire U.S. population.
Wow.
We're basing this deep dive on a fascinating news report from DD India.
Okay.
And let me tell you, this is one for the books.
It really is incredible how this event just blends these ancient myths with present-day realities. It's just mind-boggling, the sheer scale of it. But it's all rooted in a story that's centuries old.
It all begins with this wild Hindu myth called Samudra Manthan, the churning of the ocean.
Oh, wow.
Imagine gods and demons working together, battling it out for this kumbh,
Okay.
a pot containing the elixir of immortality.
Oh, wow. Talk about high stakes.
Right. And get this, during this cosmic tug of war, drops of the elixir spilled onto 4 different locations in India. These spots became the sacred sites for the Mahakumbh Mela.
Wow.
Rotating between them.
So it's like the myth itself mapped out the locations for this event.
I know. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is.
And Prayagraj, where the 2025 Mela is happening,
Right.
it's especially significant, right?
Absolutely.
Why is that?
Well, it sits at the Triveni Sangam, the confluence of 3 rivers,
Okay.
the Ganga, the Yamuna, and the mythical Saraswati.
Wow.
Hindus believe that bathing in these waters during the Mela washes away sins
Okay.
and helps achieve moksha liberation from the cycle of rebirth.
Okay, so help me understand this whole moksha thing. I mean, it's one thing to say liberation from rebirth,
Right.
but what does that actually mean for Hindus? Why is it so important that millions would brave these massive crowds for it?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just about escaping rebirth. It's about achieving this state of enlightenment and union with the divine. It's the ultimate goal in Hinduism. And the Mahakumbh Mela offers a powerful opportunity to get closer to that.
Okay.
Imagine the collective energy of millions of people all focused on this spiritual pursuit.
Now I'm starting to get a sense of the profound raw of this event.
Yeah.
It's not just a dip in the river.
Right.
It's a step towards a higher spiritual plane.
Exactly.
But it's also this huge cultural phenomenon, right?
Huge.
The DD India report mentioned these Naga sadhus,
Yes.
the ascetic Shiva-worshipping monks who are a big part of the Mela.
Big part.
They cover themselves in ash and renounce all material possessions.
It's a fascinating aspect of the Mela. They add this intense visual and spiritual element to the whole experience.
Yeah, it's like this.
It's really a stark reminder of the different paths people take in search of meaning.
It's like a collision of world's ancient traditions meeting modern-day India.
Right.
Millions of people on this spiritual journey together.
It is amazing.
It's hard to wrap my head around the sheer scale of it.
Yeah, and it's not just a local event anymore.
It's on the global radar, right?
Definitely.
I mean, in 2017, UNESCO recognized the Kumbh Mela as intangible cultural heritage.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yeah, that designation.
And speaking of global rank, the report mentioned 1 million foreign visitors in 2019.
Wow.
And they're expecting even more in 2025.
With the UNESCO recognition, of course.
So it's being recognized for its global significance. What kind of impact does that have on the event itself?
Oh, it brings new perspectives, for sure.
Okay.
And it creates this fascinating blend of cultures, but it also highlights the challenges of managing an event this massive while trying to preserve its authenticity and that spiritual essence.
Right, balancing that influx of tourism with the sanctity of the event.
Exactly.
It must be a tricky thing to navigate.
It is a tricky thing.
And on top of all that, the Indian government is investing heavily in the 2025 Mahakumbh Mela.
They are.
How much are we talking?
Well, the combined investment from the state and central governments is around $54 million just for prep. Prime Minister Modi himself visited Prayagraj and launched infrastructure projects worth a staggering $647 million.
Wow, that's a massive commitment.
It is.
And in one of the videos, Prime Minister Modi said, the Mahakumbh Mela is an integral part of India's cultural and spiritual journey.
He did say that.
It really shows how much importance they're placing on this event.
Absolutely. It's a statement that speaks to the Mahakumbh Mela's enduring significance, not just for Hindus, but for India as a whole.
Wow.
And this is only the beginning of our deep dive.
Yeah, we've covered the mythological backstory, the spiritual significance of moksha, and even touched on the global impact.
We have.
But there's so much more to unpack.
Exactly. We've only just scratched the surface of this incredible event.
So stay tuned as we continue our deep dive into the Mahakumbh Mela.
It's amazing to think that we're talking about a temporary city being built to accommodate millions of people.
It's mind-blowing.
It really puts the term mega event into perspective.
It does. We've talked about the cultural and spiritual significance.
Right.
But I'm curious about the logistics. How does India manage such a massive influx of people?
Yeah, that's a good question. The DD India report mentions crowd control and security as top priorities.
Yeah, of course.
Especially with millions of people all concentrated in one area.
Right. And remember those Naga sadhus?
Oh, yeah.
The report said there have been times when different groups clash.
Oh, really?
Trying to get the best spots for bathing.
Wow.
I mean, can you imagine?
It's definitely a delicate balancing act, for sure.
Yeah.
Authorities use a mix of high-tech surveillance, crowd management strategies, and, of course, a huge police presence to maintain order.
Right.
It's kind of like orchestrating this massive moving puzzle.
I bet.
But with a spiritual dimension.
What about the environmental impact? I mean, we talked about eco-friendly practices, but with this many people, there are bound to be concerns about pollution and waste.
Right.
Especially with the Mela centered around these sacred rivers.
You're absolutely right. It generates a massive amount of waste.
Yeah.
There are campaigns to encourage responsible disposal, reduce plastic use, but the sheer volume is a challenge.
Right. Yeah.
The government has been investing in improved sanitation and wastewater treatment facilities to minimize pollution of the rivers.
That's great.
And they've also been working on river conservation projects to make sure that the Ganga and Yamuna stay healthy for a long time.
So they're trying to balance tradition with sustainable practices?
They are trying to find that balance, yeah.
Sounds like a work in progress.
For sure.
Let's step back for a second and think about the individual experience.
Okay.
I mean, millions of people journey to the Mahakumbh Mela.
Right.
But is it purely for religious reasons? What else might draw people to this massive gathering?
That's an interesting question. You know, while the religious aspect is central, the Mahakumbh Mela is also this really profound social and cultural experience.
Okay.
For a lot of people, it's a chance to connect with their roots, with their community and their faith on a scale that you just can't imagine in everyday life.
So it's not just about personal spiritual growth.
All right.
It's about connecting with a larger community and a shared cultural heritage.
Yeah, it's like stepping into this living tapestry of Indian culture and spirituality.
Yeah.
People from all walks of life, from different parts of India and the world, come together with this shared sense of purpose.
Right.
It's a powerful reminder of our shared humanity.
That ties in nicely with Prime Minister Modi's statement about the Mahakumbh Mela representing unity.
It does.
He sees it as this integral part of India's cultural and spiritual journey.
It's a sentiment that resonates really deeply within India and beyond, in a world that is often divided by differences. You know, the Mahakumbh Mela stands as this testament to the power of shared beliefs and those collective experiences.
And that makes me wonder about the people who travel from all over the world to experience the Mahakumbh Mela. What do they take away from this event? Is it the same as someone who grew up with the traditions?
That is fascinating to consider. You know how different people experience the Mela?
Yeah.
For some, it's a journey of self-discovery. For others, it's a chance to just immerse themselves in a culture that's vastly different from their own.
Right.
I think the Mahakumbh Mela has a way of revealing different layers of meaning to each individual who experiences it.
It's like this massive event holds this mirror to society.
It does.
Reflecting our desire for connection, our search for meaning, and even our capacity for both great good and unfortunately exploitation.
Unfortunately, yeah.
The report mentioned concerns about things like price gouging and even human trafficking during the Mela.
It's a sad reality that these issues exist.
Yeah.
Authorities are working hard to combat them, but it's a constant battle.
Right.
It's a reminder that even in a setting focused on spiritual growth, we have to stay vigilant against those who would try to exploit such a gathering for their own gain.
That's a sobering thought.
It is.
We've really delved into the logistics, the environmental challenges, and even the potential for exploitation.
We have.
It seems like the Mahakumbh Mela, despite its spiritual aura, is also this reflection of the complexities of human nature.
It is. It's like a microcosm of humanity itself.
Right.
showcasing both our aspirations and our shortcomings.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even in the most sacred of settings, the human experience is this tapestry woven with light and shadow.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive.
We have.
But we're not done yet.
Right.
We still need to explore the criticisms and controversies surrounding the Mahakumbh Mela.
Indeed. We've explored its magnificence and its complexities.
Right.
But a truly deep dive requires us to look at the full spectrum of perspectives.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the Mahakumbh Mela.
The biggest gathering on Earth.
We've explored the myths, the spiritual significance, all the logistics of this mega event.
Right.
We even touched on some of the challenges.
We did.
But like any event of this scale,
Yeah.
there are bound to be criticisms and controversies, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you have millions of people all gathered in one place,
Yeah.
just magnifies everything, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
There are always concerns about safety, sustainability, and even exploitation.
We talked a bit about those concerns, but
Yeah.
let's dig a little deeper.
Okay.
With so many people packed into one area, crowd control has to be like a constant worry.
Oh, it is a huge undertaking.
Even with all the security measures in place,
Right.
it's hard to imagine how they can guarantee everyone's safety.
They use a multi-layered approach, combining technology, manpower, careful planning, all to try to mitigate the risks.
But the reality is, with
Right.
this many people, there's always that chance of accidents,
Right.
unforeseen events.
You can't plan for everything.
Exactly. What about the impact on the environment?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about the government's efforts to promote sustainability,
Right.
but can they really offset the environmental burden of millions of people converging on these sensitive river ecosystems?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
There's been progress, for sure, with waste management and sanitation, but just the sheer number of people,
Right.
it inevitably puts a strain on those resources.
Yeah.
And we can't forget the Mela's carbon footprint.
Right.
Millions of people traveling there using transportation.
Yeah.
All leads to increased emissions.
So are they doing anything about that?
Well, critics say that more needs to be done to mitigate these environmental impacts and make sure the rivers and ecosystems stay healthy in the long run.
Right. It's a tough balance.
It is.
Trying to preserve the spiritual and cultural significance of the Mela
Yeah,
while also minimizing harm to the environment.
absolutely.
And then there's that issue of exploitation. Sadly, wherever you have large gatherings, you have the potential for people to take advantage.
It's true. The Mahakumbh Mela, with all those people, all that money flowing around, it's not immune to that.
The report mentioned price gouging scams targeting pilgrims. It's even human trafficking.
Yeah. It's disheartening, but it's important to raise awareness.
For sure.
Hold people accountable.
It makes you wonder about some people's motivations.
Right.
Are they really there for spiritual growth? Or are they looking for something else?
It's hard to say. It's a complex question.
Yeah.
The answer probably varies from person to person.
Yeah.
Some are driven by faith. Others by a desire to experience something extraordinary.
Right.
And others might have motives that are less pure.
Like we said before, it's a microcosm of society.
Exactly.
This incredible display of faith and devotion, but also the darker sides of human nature.
It makes you think about the true meaning of such a massive event.
Right. So what's the takeaway for our listeners?
Oh, that's a good question.
After this deep dive into the Mahakumbh Mela, what should they walk away with?
You know, I think the Mahakumbh Mela gives us this really unique glimpse into the human experience.
Okay.
It's a testament to our faith, our desire to connect with something bigger than ourselves, our ability to create something truly awe-inspiring.
It's true.
But it also shows us the challenges that come up when millions of people come together,
Right.
reminding us that even in sacred settings, we need to stay aware of those darker sides of human nature.
It's a powerful reminder that even the most extraordinary events are shaped by, the complexities of being human.
Right.
The Mahakumbh Mela isn't just a religious gathering.
Yeah, it's more than that.
It's a reflection of humanity itself.
It is.
With all its beauty, contradictions, and challenges.
We encourage you to continue your own deep dive.
Yeah.
Explore the history, the rituals, hear the stories of people who have experienced it. Form your own conclusions about its meaning.
Exact.
And maybe one day, you might even consider making the trip yourself.
It would be incredible to witness this event firsthand.
It would.
Until then, keep exploring.
Keep questioning.
And keep diving deep into the world around you.